Wow, would you look at this majestic beauty? You would never know that you're just a few dozen yards away from I-5, arguably the most important and the busiest interstate freeway in California. Welcome, my friends, to the tranquil-looking, even if you still can't hear the freeway, Fort Tejon. This place was established all the way back in the 1850s, just after California became a state. It was a good way to have a U.S. government presence here in California, right in the very pass that separates California's vast Central Valley from Southern California and the Los Angeles area. They also established a fort here to protect natives from new settlers, and new settlers from the natives, of course, back then. And as with any historically significant place in the United States, good things happened, bad things happened, and lots of things happened in between. Unfortunately, today I don't have time to dive too deep into the history of the fort here. I, like the travelers it was meant to protect and defend against, am simply passing through on my way to another destination. But for a $6 parking fee, there really isn't a better place to stretch your legs. And for years, I've been avoiding stopping and filming here at the fort because I always wanted to wait until I had more time, until I could do it perfect and do a whole long thing. I'm trying to get out of that habit and live much more in the moment, as it were. Oh, I was just about to say how spooky it is in here, and then look at that! A wolf. Look at the size of that wolf pelt. A lot of scary, weird sounds downstairs as soon as you come upstairs, and vice versa. Pretty windy here. Briefly, I'll just mention that one of the people who was very interested in the Fort Tejon and Tejon Ranch area was Edward F. Beale, the guy responsible for the Beale Wagon Road that eventually became parts of Route 66, who you might also remember was connected to experimenting with using camels in pack trains across the United States. So, interesting dude. Oh yeah, old Eddie F. Beale was all over these parts. Had this crazy idea about breeding chickens. Hello there, Beale chickens. But perhaps there's no piece of the fort's long history that's more fascinating than the mysterious death that occurred here even before there was a fort, just a ways down yonder, down by the creek. You see, dating all the way back to the early days of California pioneers, before this was even the state of California, it was still a sort of wild, half-wild part of Mexico. Back in the trappers and wanderers and Mormon battalion days of California, passing through this gap here, the Tejon Pass, as they came upon the creek here and this perfect, lovely place to camp, many of those early explorers, pioneers, and travelers came across an unusual inscription in the side of one of these trees, one they'd often jot down in their diaries or in their letters back home. And if I'm not mistaken, the very tree they wrote about is just over here. Remember, this is before California was part of the United States, before the Marshall Gold discovery, before the gold rush, before there were lots of pioneers pouring into California. All you had out here was maybe a few people, Mexican citizens, who would be raising flocks or passing through, some trappers. Los Angeles was nothing but a tiny, dusty little speck down south, not the major metropolis it is today, of course. And passing through in those early days, in this remote region, you'd come across this random tree right here that marked an unusual grave. The grave of Peter LeBec. And how did they know that? Because his name was inscribed into this tree that later became part of the parade grounds of the fort. And the inscription read, Peter LeBec, killed by a ex-bear, October 17th, 1837. The X, by the way, was a common way of referring to grizzly bears. We don't have any grizzly bears in California anymore, but of course they are on our state flag for good reason, because these hills used to be full of grizzlies. Who was this man, Peter LeBec? What happened to him? Was he alone here, mauled by a grizzly, and then did somebody come along who recognized him or found some papers and then buried him and carved his epitaph into this tree? Was he out hunting bears with some companions, which was a common thing back in the day, and then ended up being destroyed by his mortal enemy? Was it a personal feud? Was the bear after Peter's girlfriend? We don't know. Some early accounts say that next to the grave and the inscription, there were the bleached bones of a grizzly bear laying alongside the grave. Other early stories say that old Eddie Beale had the soldiers dig up the grave, exhume the grave, and they found not only the bones of Peter Lebec missing some parts of his arms and things like that, but also the bones of the grizzly bear with their heads swapped in some versions. Now, when you're dealing with early settler history in any region, you're going to hear, old-timers versions of the stories by the time they're written down, which means often you're getting a stretched-out version of the truth, a tall tale, as it were. But come on, that's the best kind of truth. Well, okay, not the best, but maybe the most fun form of truth. And still to this day, supposedly, the remains of Peter Lebec and that grizzly bear reside right here underneath this very tree. Now, you can no longer see the inscription, but that was also the case back when this was Fort Tejon between the 1850s and the 1860s when it was abandoned. At some point in the 20 or 30 years after Peter Lebec died, you could no longer read the inscription on the tree trunk itself because the bark, this bark here, began to grow back over it. But when they had them come and uncover the inscription again, something very interesting had happened, because when you carve into a tree, it sort of makes a scar, like a raised scar for the lettering. Well, as the bark grew over it, apparently it grew into a perfect copy of the inscription on the tree. And that piece of bark, or I should say a fragment of that piece of bark, still exists and is sometimes on display here at what is now the State Historic Monument, I think? State Historic Park. We'll double check on the way out. But at the moment it's not here. I assume it's in the Bakersfield Natural History Museum. However, there is a sick artist interpretation, little diorama of Peter Lebec in his final moments. Now, all that is interesting and a great reason to stop, spend $6 for parking, stretch your legs here, right on the side of the highway. I passed by this thousands of times as a kid. Never knew this was here. Most people don't. But what makes the story even more interesting and possibly even more romantic than the lone grave of Peter Lebec under the tree back there, and of course all the thoughts and questions that naturally flow from that, like who was Peter Lebec? Why was he out here in California? Was he trying to build a new life for himself? Was he traveling overland from the coast? Did he have a sweetheart? Did he know there were bears here? Was he after the bear? Was the bear after him? Was it a sudden surprise bear attack? But what really takes the story up a notch, an interest factor for me, is when, over the years, I've heard several different stories from people who have done quote-unquote investigations here, or in different sort of haunted history books that I'll sometimes read just for fun, You'll hear stories from pioneers, caretakers, and the occasional passerby, the occasional traveler over here who becomes a looky-loo, of not just Peter Lebec's armless spirit appearing here at Fort Tejon, along with, lots of other fort soldiers, ghosts, and things that you would typically hear about in any kind of fort-like location, but also, and I am not making this up, a ghost bear. Come on, man, a ghost bear? That is a good reason to stop, just in case you get to check that out. As you can see here, the buildings are now being locked up. They are closing this place up, so it's time for me to skedaddle on down the road, especially before I too am waylaid by some sort of grizzly bear, rattlesnake, or other obstacle, because I've got a long way to go tonight, and I'm still not even over the hill all the way from the LA area. In just 2 weeks, if everything goes according to plan, I'll be hitting the road in this van here, which has been to a mechanic twice. It's had the once over again, if you will. Seeing America once again with no real plan or agenda this time, just the wind at my back, a Back to the Future license plate at my front, and of course, plenty of epic stops from side to side. But before I do that, I wanted to come and test the van on this mission I have, driving up to Fresno, California. And so far, so good. I've come up the mountains, and now for the long descent through the grapevine, as most LA people call it, down from Fort Tejon and the town of Lebec, that you now know where it got its name from, into the vast California Central Valley. Ah, sweet. We made it down the mountain. You might be thinking, well, of course you made it down the mountain. You bought the van from a guy who said it was cool. You took it to a mechanic twice to have it checked out. Yeah, I know. But if I can pass on any of the sage wisdom I learned from years of being in vans, it would be this. You never can tell with vans. Now, I am on a mission to head up to Fresno, California, because tomorrow an absolutely epic project is beginning. It's something that's been in the works since before last Halloween, and it is something epic. And it's also something I don't want to spoil for you, so we're gonna have to wait until we're a little closer to our destination before I can let you in on the secret. However, I promise you, it'll be worth it. You know, it's not just the shape of the van I'm worried about. I'm also worried about what kind of shape I'm in. It's been a long time since I've been on a road trip. As you know, we've had this whole almost a year of just crazy medical problems for Allie, and then we're in and out of the hospitals and the surgeon's office and all that. And then I've been in and out of hospitals getting my heart tested and all this kind of stuff. And that was all right on the heels of the world unlocking. So as everybody else was kind of going back to normal, we were going into this just nightmare hellscape of health stuff, but that's okay. That's why they call it health care, huh? So it feels good to be on the road solo for a day, even if it is just for a day, to go run this crazy errand that I can't wait to show you. Love traveling America's highways, even if we're talking about California 99. Not usually considered one of America's prettiest highways, but at this time of year, it's really not that bad looking. It's nice and green, kind of amazing. Definitely the best part of being in the van is being able to stop anywhere, get out a cold bottle of water, or out of this little waterproof box that I bought at, did I buy it at Walmart or something like that? It's for fishing, I think. Pull out some string cheese, a little turkey, you know, just have myself a little lunch. A minute ago, there was a guy cutting down a tree in this parking lot. I think I'm gonna go pull across the street. There's a nice orchard over there, and have myself a little spot of lunner, you know, lunch and dinner combined. Not the prettiest place I've ever seen in my whole life, but it's not the ugliest either. Beats going to McDonald's. Well, at least if you have celiac disease. I gotta admit, I'm looking forward to doing this out on Route 66 or on the plains of Montana, or, you know, out there in America. I just realized right now, I have no idea where I'm staying tonight. I could sleep in the van, bust out the old Walmart parking lot action, or I could get a hotel. Let's just see how I'm feeling, see how my stomach's feeling. At the moment though, I think I've had my fill of swill. Go and get a little closer to Fresno and then make a decision about where we're gonna sleep well tonight. All right, well, we've now arrived in downtown Kingsburg, California. But rather than saying downtown, we should say it's better known as the Swedish Village. Very similar to Solvang, California, which is Danish and therefore a Danish-themed town. Kingsburg was settled by the Swedes, and so over time developed into a sort of Swedish village, a little tourist destination, although it's a little less Disneyland and a little less whiny than Solvang, and a little more down-to-earth and farm fresh, if you will. Obviously, I don't have too much time to explore today. Plus, the last time I came through here, I told Allie we'd come together and do, you know, all the exploring and stay here. But I did want to cut away from the main drag just for a second because this little flower-lined walkway that leads right under the Swedish teapot water tower also leads to something else I've never taken the time to see: the historic Kingsburg City Jail. Built in 1925, this little jail is now an open-air museum in the sense that it's located right behind the fire department, which is manned 24 hours a day and apparently is just open 24 hours a day. Dude, look at this. Ah! Whoa, it triggered a motion detector. The lights came on. Look at this. It's old Officer Petey the policeman and his dog, Sparky. Hey there, Sparky. Look at that little office right there. Look at the size of them keys. Oh, classic mug shots on the wall. In 1925, this is the days of the old, hey, let's see here, copper. Criminals, you know. Well, it doesn't look like we have one of them in this cell. No, no, no. This guy looks like he's trying to rethink his life. Looks like he's reading a Bible there, maybe writing some Bible songs, eating half a sandwich. He's trying to reform. These fellas, though, they look like they haven't changed their ways at all. Oh, here's poor unlucky Fred Dooley, fresh in from the farm, had a little too much fun at the old saloon last night, getting cheated by this old grifter over here, Max McGillicuddy, and his pet rat, Human Hands Spencer. Look at him back there. devious. Look, you can't reform this guy.
Listen, kid, there's no reason to give up betting now.
Well, mister, I ain't got nothing but this sandwich and a fork here.
That's true. I took all your cigarettes already and smoked them all, too. That's all right. Bet me for your sandwich.
Oh, all right, mister, but I got a pretty good hand.
Oh, so do I, kid. So do I.
Poor old Dooley should have played checkers with him. Who are we kidding? Those who would cheat at cards would cheat at checkers in a heartbeat. Ah, yeah, look at this. This little free museum is very popular this evening. I mean, the sun is already down below the horizon now, and I've seen at least a dozen people come in and check out this little jail. Might have something to do with its being directly adjacent to the open laundromat there. But apparently, this jail's so popular, people are literally breaking into it. Look at that. Looks like he's giving him a boost up. Why is this guy breaking in to the jail? Do you know?
Heck, I don't know nothing. I'm just a dog.
Tough but fair. All right, well, as much as I love hanging out under teapot-shaped water towers, and as nice as this little park is, and as genuinely lovely as downtown Kingman is after dark. Sorry, Kingsburg. I keep saying Kingman because of Kingman, Arizona, and I'm used to doing the Route 66 thing, you know? I've still got to figure out where I'm going to be sleeping tonight. Whether I'm going to sleep in the van, get a hotel, or what. I think I'm going to head down the road and head into Walmart really quick while I make a decision. Dude, look at this place. Think if I had to live in a town somewhere around these parts, like in the Central Valley, I'd probably pick Kingsburg. It's got the cute factor, the neighborhoods are nice, it's tourist friendly. There's just one problem. I'm not Swedish. I don't even think a little bit. Pretty sure I'm 0% Swedish. Darn, I was that close. Well, anyway, on with the program. I didn't show you the inside of the Walmart because I figured you guys probably know what a Walmart looks like. There are radical Walmarts and there are badical Walmarts. That was one of the badical ones. Turned out to be a bust, but I drove on into the night and eventually gave up here at this truck stop. Unlike truck stops in basically every other state, in California you'll see signs all over like no sleeping here, no parking here, but you'll still see people like the guy in the Sprinter van over there that are just kind of doing it anyway, so I think I might grab some grub and then crash out. And I'd keep talking to you guys about it, except for that I'm really tired, and we're going to be doing a lot of this in just a little while on our big road trip. So for now, we've done our duty. We're going to hotel and sleep well in the back of a van with the mood lighting. The mood. Well, I had to switch truck stops in the middle of the night because they told me to push on, but thanks to good old Loves here, we woke up safe and sound. By the way, just like with camping, it can be fun to sleep in a van, but it's not the most comfortable place in the world to sleep. And yet, I don't want to complain. It could always be worse. You could be waking up on the prison bus, so. All right, I pulled over to the side of the road just to finish my morning coffee over here, do the morning announcements for you Patreon people. And we are almost into Fresno, so I can finally reveal the reason that I've come up this far from my home. We are cruising into town to do a big collaboration for Midsummer Scream with a company called Monster City Studios. And trust me, no company could be more aptly named for this project. What Monster City Studios does is build things, and I mean all kinds of things. Props, statues, buildings, architecture, signage, outhouses. They specialize in bringing the imaginary to life, bringing dreams to reality, and today they're gonna bring one of my dreams into physical existence. What you're looking at here on the front of the van are two Azrak Hamway International Frankenstein figures. These are rack toys from the 1970s that were officially licensed Universal Monsters action figures. They're actually getting pretty darn rare out in the wild, but I purchased two just in case I'd be able to bring this wild project to life. Sometime last year, I had the craziest idea. What if somehow we could blow up Frankie's head to life size, put it on a mannequin, and create a life-size version of the old classic AHI Frankenstein's monster for a, well, we'll keep that part of the project secret, for something to do with Midsummer Scream, to go and display it there as a fun pick opportunity for everyone. Wouldn't that be sick? I thought And it didn't sound that complicated, but it turns out it was complicated. I reached out for quotes from prop companies all over America, and it wasn't impossible to get done, but it sure seemed like it was gonna be impossible for me to get it done. That is, until I met the guys from Monster City Studios who were sharing a booth with my friend Chris from Route 9 Signs at DesignerCon last year. Because Chris from Route 9 and I were talking about, too bad he makes big things little, right? I wanted to make something little big, and he goes, wait a minute, the guys right behind me, Monster City Studios, do exactly that on a daily basis. And now, basically a year after this wacky idea first popped into my head, I've come to Monster City Studios to see the first phase of my dream become reality. Dude, this is going to be awesome. I should say really quick, not everybody gets to just walk in here. You have to have special permission because Monster City Studios has a lot of big-timey clients with secret stuff scattered around in here sometimes. So I feel very lucky to be allowed to bring the camera inside today. Look at this, just inside the lobby. Would you look at the size of these guys in here? That is the biggest dwarf I've ever seen. Look at these massive props. This dwarf and this barkeep are going to somebody's Dungeons and Dragons man cave. And this stuff is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the kind of stuff Monster City Studios works on every day. All right, well, as impressive as this stuff is, let's get to seeing the thing that we came here to see. It's time to reveal the monster. Oh my gosh, would you look at this? Look at the size of this Frankenstein. It's real. It's alive. It's alive. Oh my gosh, and this is just the beginning. As you can see, they're still working on it. They already roughed it out of the foam, and now it's going to be fine-tuned and still carved, and then a whole bunch of other stuff has to happen. This is the beginning. Look at that. Looks like just like styrofoam, like the kind of stuff that comes in your package. Now look at this, dude. This is the robot right here that created the Frankenstein. Or, well, that's carving out the Frankenstein head. I don't know about identical, but very similar to the robots that hold up your chair when you're riding on that Harry Potter ride at Universal Studios, or the ones that put together automobiles. This thing is incredible. They can make almost anything out of foam here, and then of course there are coats of what I assume must be some sort of resin that they add to it to harden it, like those barkeeper that we saw in the front, the D&D guy, and then people like Jorge over here are commanding the robot to do their bidding. Wow. Whoa, whoa! Look at that! It's changing tools! Dude, that is amazing and a little bit terrifying. Look at the size of that drill bit. Whoa! Dude, that is one massive drill bit right there. Look at the size of that tool! That's what they used to say about me in high school. All right, Jorge's gonna get the robot started on the head here. Luckily, we have our little close-up cam all set up to watch it doing some of the fine-tuning. Dude, look at that! Whoa! These are big boy toys, Jorge. Look at the size of that. Oh! It's going right for the temple. Look how gentle that is. That's incredible. All right, they're just explaining to me that when it's on autopilot, if you were to step over this line, it would turn off for safety purposes. But right now, it's being manually controlled. But look at that. Look at the fine detail it's putting in. And it'll apparently just do this for hours and hours. Look at that, carving away a little bit of foam at a time. Insane. Well, this is safe for the moment. We're gonna go out, let the robot do its thing, and see some of the other stuff they're making around here. Whoa, dude. Look at these Batman. Look at the size of them. Holy flying rodent Batman. Dude, Jimmy P, who are these being done for?
This is Hot Toys in Japan.
Hot Toys is getting giant Batmans in Japan, so you guys making ship stuff all over the world.
Dude, look at the size of that Jim Lee Batman.
Someday, if I ever have a lot of money, because, you know, these toys aren't cheap, I'm coming here to get me a Michael Keaton Batman for the man cave. No, for the Bat Cave. Watch out, guys. Don't put your stanky hands in the ice.
Bad that would be.
Oh, dude, look at that little maquette. There's my hand for scale. Look at the little models before they built the full-size barkeep. That's crazy. That's some treasure right there. I mean this, but this is also some treasure. Dude, there's so much cool stuff going on here. Next door to old Frankie, look at all of this stuff. Look at the size of this. They are building a full-on, full-size playground over here. This whole thing is indeed a playground, and I just found out it's actually going to a local homeless shelter for kids to play on and experience the great outdoors in a playground form.
It's called the Fresno Mission City Center.
Look at this, James is gonna test out the slide. Yes!
That's cool. It's fast too.
Is it fun?
Very fun.
What a fun one! Dude, these are finished sections of pieces of the same playground. Look at the way it all looks so real. Looks like rock once it's all hard-coated and painted. Look at this owl right here, leading you to relax rock. And this stuff feels like rock. It's super hard. It feels like anything that would be in Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. Look at the inside right there. I'm always so impressed by people who can make things, and look at the size of these things. Look at this. This is the bottom of a Munchkin house that they are currently hard coating and spraying with whatever it is that stiffens it up. Gotta put on crazy protective gear to do that. I just saw the roof of the Munchkin house a few minutes ago. Look at this. This is crazy. It looks like he's going to outer space. They just coat it with these crazy two-part resins. I'm really not a chemist. I don't understand it all. What I do understand is it's apparently not that great for your lungs. So we probably won't watch this for too long. Look at this. This is for somebody's dentist's office. All I can think looking around here and all the inspirational quotes on the walls and looking at everybody scurrying around and conducting all this business is, boy, it takes a lot of work to make all this imaginary stuff come to fruition. Dude, look at how amazing this is. It's going from this tiny little toy to a full-size, gigantic head. This is incredible. See, first they had to take one of these heads off the body, sadly. And honestly, these things are so old, as you can see here, this is ripping just from handling. I mean, they are in pretty fragile condition, so these two that I bought were basically, sadly, sacrificial, even though they are quite pricey. Anyway, they took one of the Karloff heads off and 3D scanned it, and then of course had to do all the work cleaning up the 3D scan before they could put that all into the computer that tells this robot exactly how many little foam beads he needs to cut off. Whoa. Oops, I stepped over that yellow safety line. I think me and little Frankie are gonna go play somewhere else so that we don't interrupt the process anymore. Dude, this is all awesome. But of course, any giant studio like this, Monster City Studios, I told you it was aptly named, huh? Because we are making a monster. Just like Metallica, only with less crying. Anyway, any studio like this is just gonna have work in progress pieces. Oh, look at that little dinosaur down there. And, you know, little bits and pieces of old jobs laying around like this ABC thing. But of course, all their best work is going to be the stuff they've already finished and spread around. In this case, the entire world. Monster City has done so many crazy jobs out there. But these are just some pictures of a few of them. Here's Route 9, Chris. Look at this guy.
Hey, how's it going? Matthew, say hi.
Hi, Matthew. Oh, hang on. Something just came in here. They just got something off a truck.
That girl right there, that's
Yeah.
Ashlyn. She made it.
Hi, Ashlyn. Look at the size of that Minotaur. It's a big guitar. It's got to go away now. They've got top men working on it. Top men. Look at this. Amanda's going to be the one that paints Frankenstein.
Yes.
I think we're a little ways away from that part.
Yeah.
Sadly, because I'm excited about the paint, James.
She's pretty stoked about that.
Yes! Just giving him a little haircut there. Oh, a little shave around the old neck area. It's been going for a couple hours now. Little by little, just making its way. Of course, I'm not taking this home with me today. There's still a lot more work to do on it. But I got to come and see the process. I mean, who wouldn't want to come see this process, right? The coolest part about this is that you guys will get to come and see this at Midsummer Scream. I think they already started selling tickets. I'm not sure exactly what the dates are off the top of my head. I think the website is midsummerscream.org. We're going to have a booth there with some very special features, including our gigantic Frankenstein If, of course, nobody bumps into the robot and it doesn't cut his head in half or anything like that. But barring any kind of disaster or the windmill burning down or anything like that, you should be able to get a fun pic with old Frankie here. Dude, just look at the size of the stuff they deal with here on a daily basis at Monster City Studios. All right, watch this. I'm gonna grab my camera. I gotta walk in there. Just stick my foot over. Whoa, scary. Yeah. All right, well, that's what I done diddly did come to Fresno for, and now I can't Fresno no more. I got to check up on the progress. I got to show you guys around Monster City Studios just a little wee bit. Couldn't take you back into the offices where they do a lot of the creative stuff because, of course, they're working on top secret projects all the time. Like, I know they're doing stuff for some of the Super Mario worlds and things like that I probably am not allowed to show. Just, stuff. I gotta tell you, it is really difficult to leave that Frankenstein head behind, even in an unfinished state. I'm like, it's so cool. I just want to pick it up and take it and make them start over again, Something I am going to very much be looking forward to coming back from our long road trip for is seeing the progress on that head. Sadly, though, it's going to be a little while. Now remember, my friends, been kind of wacky, been kind of weird for the last year or so with all Allie's health problems, but she's in an okay state now. We're heading off on a month-long road trip in just a week or two here, which means there are so many adventures coming as long as everything goes according to plan. Knock on wood. Is there wood in here? I think so. And for those of you in the Adventurers Club on Patreon, that means a lot of extra videos for you guys as well. Don't forget to go and check the posts or do the thing. And anyway, guys, we've done all we can do today, which means we've done our duty. But before we can go home and sleep well, make sure you check out store.randomland.com and check it out about a couple days from now too. Just keep refreshing. Brand new t-shirts are coming, and next up, before I leave for the road trip, sometime very soon, we're gonna be down at the antique store with some of the new merch and also those hand-carved wooden signs and things. Those will be on Instagram at Justin Scarred, 2 R's, Scarred, not scared. Do me a favor and go follow the Instagram. You'll have done your duty too. All right, and then you can go home and sleep well. Adios, amigos. I realize this thing could still break down at any time. I'm not. Maybe something could go super wrong. But so far, I'm liking the way the random van is working out. She's a good heffalump, all right. Plenty of leg room. Oh, it is good to be home. First thing I do every time I get home now is I open up the garage and make as much noise in there as possible. It helps to keep the rats away. As you guys know, I keep getting rats from the backyard. I think it's because we have like orange trees and stuff. So every time I get back, I'm on rat patrol. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe the size of some of these things. Ugh. Oh my gosh, what the heck was that? Did you see that? What did I tell you? Did you see the size of that rat? Oh my goodness, I think I'm gonna have to call Truly Nolan. What the heck was it even? My puffercorn! What in the world? New sick merch from Random Land and more on the way. Go check it out at store.randomland.com. It's perfect for all your mother rodent road tripping needs.